Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Katie and I am a qualified therapist who's really passionate about all things mental health, therapy, wellness and personal development. I'm really excited to film this video today. I'm filming a reaction video. I've decided to do a series where I will film my reaction to therapy in TV and movies, so TV therapists and movie therapists, and we're starting with one of my favourite TV shows of all time, which is Sex and the City. When I say I used to be obsessed with Sex and the City, like there is no words. It was a tradition of mine to watch it every single year, like without fail. I watched it every single year, binged all 7 seasons plus the 2 movies. We don't talk about the second movie, but I love the first movie. So even though I used to watch it every single year, I don't think I've watched it since 2020 in lockdown. I think maybe because I just got into other TV shows, or perhaps And Just Like That filled the gap for me. But yeah, I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm very, very excited to film this video. The clip that we're going to watch is from the episode where Carrie goes to see a celebrity therapist. I'm not 100% sure how celebrity therapists work, other than they're probably very expensive, have a very strong confidentiality policy. They probably have to sign like an NDA. I imagine it works with like referrals. You just need one high profile celebrity client and then that's it really, your practice takes off. So I always forget that like Carrie's kind of a public figure. She's kind of a celebrity from her column. So yeah, she's going to a very expensive celebrity therapist. So we're going to watch the clip and I'm going to share my thoughts.
A week later, I kept my date with Dr. G, celebrity shrink.
So, Carrie, tell me why you're here.
Well,
sorry, I'm laughing already because what has she got in her hand? I think it's a fan. I'm not sure what she's got in her hand. She looks gorgeous. First of all, Carrie's an icon. She looks stunning. But the room itself is wild. We've got like, it's all white. There's like ornaments and toy cars and stuff on the shelves, which I'm a bit confused about. The therapist just jumps in straight away with, "What are you doing here?" Which is it's a good place to start in therapy for sure. I tend to phrase it more like, "What's brought you to therapy?" Perhaps a bit softer. It seems, quite direct and straight to the point. And Carrie has said that her friends are sick of her basically, because I think at this point she was talking about big a lot.
you're like very expensive foster care.
What's bothering them?
They tell me that I talk about my ex-boyfriend too much.
Yeah.
But that's normal, right, after a breakup?
I don't like the term normal.
Oh, no, of course you don't, because you wouldn't have any patience.
So Carrie's definitely like feeling uncomfortable and using humour to ease how uncomfortable she's feeling, which is very normal, very common thing to do. The people that, are funny are naturally funny, like Carrie is. It's quite funny in a cliche way that the therapist has said, like, I don't use the term normal, or I don't like the term normal. It is true that normal should be avoided, but sometimes it is the necessary word. It depends on how it's used. Like if a client is saying like, I don't feel normal, I'm not normal, that definitely needs to be explored in terms of what do they mean by that, because their normal could be very different to someone else's. But I think if you're talking about a kind of common experience like she is, which is, talking to your friends about an ex, then I think, perhaps that needed acknowledging.
So tell me about him. The ex.
Ooh. She doesn't want to.
I have to be honest here. I'm not sure I really believe in therapy.
Ooh.
I'm more of a solve your own problems kind of gal.
This is very interesting because this really is about if someone's asked you to go to therapy. So I'm in this episode, I can't quite remember, but I imagine Samantha, Charlotte, and Miranda have all really encouraged her to go to therapy, but Carrie doesn't seem too keen, and she's literally just said that she doesn't believe in therapy, which it's quite a funny statement, that, because we're not talking about Santa or something that requires a lot of belief, but obviously for her, she's not sure if it works. Perhaps she's never seen it work or doesn't really understand the process as well. But yeah, I think it definitely has to come from the person, therapy, and there has to be a meeting in the middle. Obviously, the therapist has to be present and engaged, but the client also has to be engaged in some level. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be happy to be there or be really like excited or forthcoming straight away, but definitely engaged in some way. So already this is a bit tricky. However, what I will say is it's great that Carrie shared that, because that can be a good place to start, of like just sharing, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about me needing to be here, I'm not sure about this process, I'm not sure if it works. So I actually commend Carrie for bringing that, and I think you should always try to share with your therapist like what you're thinking and feeling, even if it is about the therapy itself. Therapist isn't saying anything. Classic.
He was smart.
So the therapist has used a technique which is just silent. So that is actually the name of the technique, being silent and waiting for the client to open up a bit more. So she obviously read this as avoidance. And sometimes when we see a client avoid a situation, you can approach that in different ways. You can ask more questions. You can say, you know, it looks like this is a really difficult subject for you to talk about. Or ask them, you know, how are you feeling right now talking about this? Are you avoiding it, etc.? But this therapist just chose to say nothing, kind of ignored her comments about therapy, perhaps took her physically being there as a sign that, you know, she is engaged. And to be fair, it worked, because now Carrie is starting to talk about big.
He was sexy, just totally screwed up. He was playing all these games, and I didn't know the rules.
You were playing games.
No, he was. I was just along for the ride.
And what about you?
Wow, there was a lot there in like 10 seconds, I feel like it was, where she said so many different things about Big that was really interesting, kind of talking about how he screwed up, but sexy in the same breath, which is very true about their relationship. There's so much sexual attraction, sexual chemistry, but the actual dynamic is a bit toxic if you watch the show. And the therapist kind of misheard what she said as well around him playing games, which I'm interpreting as that she misheard. Maybe it was a deliberate tactic to explore a bit more. Very risky though, very risky to just leap straight into the game playing and essentially accusing your client of being part of said game playing. And Carrie's trying to talk about Big, and the therapist is naturally making it about her, which is interesting and perhaps a bit too soon. I feel like, again, if this was me, if Carrie was my client, I would let her offload a bit more about Big and talk about the impact of him on her and how she was feeling, rather than starting to explore her role in the relationship, which, you know, definitely does need exploring, but this is a first session. So it's probably a bit too much too soon, especially for someone that's just shared with you that they're not super comfortable even in therapy.
Was this the first time you dated a man who couldn't give you what you wanted?
Well, that's
Wow.
a little easy, don't you think? Okay. Yeah. Maybe I've dated men who were wrong for me, but who hasn't?
But the thing they have in common is you.
What's your point?
Maybe you're picking the wrong man.
Oh.
Well, of course you.
Right, before we get to Samantha, which I'm very excited about, that was kind of wild. There's a lot to unpack here. She basically came across a bit judgmental. that felt like maybe what you would very gently move towards 5th session, 6th session. It's so hard to give a time frame on these things, but that was a bit concerning to me that she just leapt straight to like, maybe you're the problem. Maybe this is actually all to do with you and you've got a bad picker and you're picking the wrong men. And all of those men that, from Carrie's point of view, has, you know, treated her badly or been in the wrong relationship, it's, you know, her fault, basically. Like, I'm not saying that that isn't beneficial to figure out in therapy. Actually, what am I contributing to this? Am I in a pattern? Am I in a cycle? Am I picking the wrong people? They're all good things to realize in therapy, but it's for you to realize. I feel like the therapist, I don't know what style of therapist she is, what kind of modality she uses, but it seems, yeah, very direct, to say the least.
Guys, Jesus, I could have told you that.
Well, frankly, I think I picked the wrong therapist. I mean, she just did not get me at all. She thought I was a game player.
But you have to be. It's the only way to deal with men. Oh, that's healthy. Relationships are not about games. They're about mature and honest communication.
This coming from a woman who's playing peekaboo with her neighbor.
Games are empowering. If you know what you're doing, you can totally control the situation.
The only place you can control.
Okay, they're moving into like game playing and exploring that term, but it's understandable to me that that was Carrie's main takeaway from the session, is feeling judged, feeling like she's picked the wrong person, feeling like the whole thing was a mistake, and the label of game player. That was her big takeaway message, was I'm a game player, how dare she? And of course Samantha is saying like, you know, like I could have told you that, around her picking the wrong men. And that's the thing, sometimes even the things that we know to be true, we still need help exploring the reasons why, rather than just to be like labelled. Like that perhaps Carrie already knows that she picks the wrong guys, or she has questionable taste in men, or just struggles in relationships and kind of building connections with certain people. There's so much to unpack, obviously, with Carrie, but I think it was too much too soon to start labelling her and start kind of pointing out all of the different things to do with her in the first session, especially when you're trying to figure out if the therapist is the right one for you.
If we perpetually gave men blowjobs, we could run the world.
And at least our hands would be free to greet dignitaries and stuff.
Sorry.
I mean, you know, even if you're in a relationship, you still have to play games. Yeah, Big and I played games. Look where it got us.
But maybe the game is not really over.
Maybe it's just halftime.
That kind of delusional thinking is why you should be in therapy too.
I do.
It's kind of classic Miranda, thinking everyone should, you know, get their stuff together. Really interesting conversation about the games that people play in relationships and kind of using sex as a way to win the game over men, because if we're going to generalize, men are seen to be, you know, at least from their perspective, men are seen to be more kind of focused on sex. So that's how Samantha is saying that the only way you can win is in the bedroom. And then Charlotte's talking about how even in a relationship, there's a lot of game playing ahead of a relationship or on the lead up to a relationship when you don't really know someone, but she's also commenting on the fact that it never really ends as well, which is quite interesting.
I do not pick the wrong guys. They pick me.
So what, you're like a fly strip for dysfunctional men?
Fly strip?
Yeah, but one of those really pretty floral scented ones.
Slim pickings out there. You can't swing a Fendi purse without knocking over 5 losers. Where did all the great guys go?
Oh, it's done. Where did all the great guys go is how Samantha ends that clip. Really interesting conversation there. Obviously, Carrie's learned nothing from that therapy session, understandably so, because she says there, it's not me, I'm not the problem, they pick me. She's like one of those kind of fly traps, is what Miranda called her, which is quite funny. So yeah, nothing was gained from that therapy session at all. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up. Please hit that like button and leave a comment down below if you want me to react to any other TV therapy sessions on your favourite show. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel for more videos on all things mental health, therapy and wellness. And yeah, take care everyone, and hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.